guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa follows awkward high school student Rintaro Natsuki, who is grieving the loss of his beloved grandfather. Rintaro is facing the pain of closing down his grandfather's second-hand bookshop when an unusual talking cat suddenly appears and requests Rintaro's help in saving books. This odd pair go on a journey through strange dimensions, occupied by even stranger readers of books, and Rintaro tackles the challenge of explaining along the way the true purpose of reading. Well, this book has quite possibly got to be the most quaint and charming little book I have ever read. This is just a little small, teeny tiny book that was originally published in Japanese and was translated into English. I really adore the artwork design of this book as well. You got the cat here, and it kind of rotates around, and you got its little fluffy rear end. It's so cute. This book it is very much for people who call themselves readers, people who love and have a passion for reading and enjoy the art of writing and storytelling. And yeah, add in a unusual talking cat. It's a great time. I feel like a lot of book readers are also cat lovers as well. More so than dog lovers, I feel like. There's just something about books and cats that go quite well together. And I tell you what, while I was reading this book, I like to imagine that this sassy smartass of a cat, this is my cats in real life. I want to believe this is what my cats are like in real time and how they think and process things behind my back, you know, what they think about me. This talking cat, very much like in my head, that's just how my cats sound like, to be quite honest, and I loved it. I think what's important to note about this book is that the narrative is very bizarre in some ways. It's not really kind of a straightforward narrative. It's very hard to explain this book because I think when I was looking through Goodreads reviews of this book, a lot of people were kind of disappointed with the structure of this book and kind of what it was more focused about, rather than having a straight out, I don't know, a straight out more linear plot and narrative. I'm not quite sure how to describe it unless you read this book. The book is really more of an allegory, I think. The way I was kind of interpreting things going on in this book, I don't think you're really supposed to take this book as literal, if that makes any sort of sense. Like I said, I think the book is supposed to be more allegory, and things are just meant to be more symbolic in some ways. Once again, it's very difficult to kind of explain that. But yeah, what you need to know about this book, it follows a very awkward high school boy named Rintaro. His grandfather has just recently died, leaving behind his secondhand bookshop. So now Rintaro is kind of dealing with that he needs to close down his grandfather's secondhand bookshop, and it's very sad and painful. You know, he's already upset and grieving the loss of his grandfather. Now he's kind of grieving the loss of losing this bookshop, because this is a place that he's always felt really comfortable and at ease in. And the character of Rintaro, I really enjoyed his character, because I think in some ways I felt like there was parts of me that I could relate to him. Rintaro is described as being very, very extremely shy, to the point that he just absolutely shuts himself away, and that he doesn't even go to school. You know, he shuts himself off that much that he kind of refuses to go to school and interact with people and make friends. He'd much rather stay at the bookshop and help his father, you know, and he closes himself off from the outside world in some ways. And he's essentially kind of a hermit, you know. There is a Japanese word that's used to describe Rintaro's character. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but I think kind of the English equivalent of that would be someone who's a hermit, you know, someone who really just completely closes themselves off. So when his grandfather dies, that nature of his character just kind of really digs itself deeper into a hole. And then from that point on, he definitely refuses to go to school at that point, and he has like classmates come to give him his schoolwork. So yeah, while Rentaro is suffering and grieving, in the meantime, here comes this talking cat, this unusual talking cat that just kind of comes out of nowhere. And once again, this is kind of the bizarre element of the story, because Rentaro is just very, very, very briefly kind of bewildered by the whole situation. Like, oh my god, there's a talking cat. You know, that situation, the bizarreness of it doesn't really last very long. Rentaro kind of adapts into it very quickly. Once again, you got to keep in mind that a lot of this narrative is more allegorical, I think, and what it's supposed to be doing and what it's supposed to be doing for Rentaro as a character. So this talking cat, which does have a name, and you know what? I can't even remember what the cat's name is because it's hardly ever used. The cat does introduce himself with a name, but then, yeah, Rentaro just always calls him the cat. So the cat is very sassy and a bit of a smartass in some ways, and he doesn't take no shit from anybody. He's that type of cat, you know, like how a real cat is. That's how you imagine a real cat to be, you know, that when they just stare at you like, are you kidding me, you stupid human? This cat is very much like that. And this cat, as part of the bizarre nature of this plot, the cat introduces himself to Rentaro. He knows that Rentaro is a fellow lover of books. And the cat is saying, hey, Rentaro, I need you to kind of dimension hop with me and go through all these various different dimensions and help save books from people who are abusing them, especially people who claim to love books, but they're really just mutilating books. And I'll kind of get into that, what the mutilation of books means in a sense, how it's in this book and whatnot. So yeah, Rentaro and this cat, they just immediately start doing some dimension hopping, and this book doesn't really explain the dimensions. There's like this portal that opens and they just are in another dimension, and once again Rentaro just kind of goes with it, and there's not too much like questioning of it. Rentaro just goes with it. And the cat actually refers to these dimensions as labyrinths. So there's already kind of that metaphor there with a labyrinth, because, you know, within like Greek mythology, for instance, the big importance of a labyrinth in Greek mythology, which holds the Minotaur and, you know, Ariadne helping Theseus with giving him the ball of yarn, you know. So I think there's like a hint of kind of Greek mythology influence within this book as well, strangely enough, by calling these dimensions labyrinths, you know, kind of the metaphor of a labyrinth. So in the first labyrinth or dimension, however you want to think about it, Rentaro and the cat run into a man who he just sits in a room for his entire life, and he just reads thousands and thousands of books a year. Yeah, guys, not within maybe a decade or a couple decades, like a year. Like he's literally reading 100 books or so a day, which is bizarre. And then in another labyrinth is a man who, because he wants to try to read so many books, he trims down books to the point that they're only a couple sentences long, and because of that, you get the idea of, oh, this is what this book is about, and hence I have read it just through these couple sentences, which is ridiculous. And then in the third labyrinth is a publisher who is trying to pop out and produce just a mass quantity of books, you know, producing quantity over quality. So I think you can kind of get the gist of what this book is exploring, and what I was kind of earlier referencing as like the mutilation of books. And as I also stated, this book is about the love and passion of reading, you know, the purpose and point of reading and what we're supposed to get and understand from books and what they're supposed to fulfill in our lives. And so when Rentaro and the cat are going through these various different dimensions, as I said, you kind of can get the gist of what this book is exploring. Because like with the first man who's reading thousands of books a year, and then the second man who is trimming down books to just a few sentences so he can consume more books, you know, that is not how you should be consuming books. This book is basically kind of saying, hey, don't treat reading like a contest. You know, reading is not a contest. Who can read the most books a year? You should read books that you genuinely want to explore and have an interest in, and instead of trying to read what everybody else is reading just because everybody else tells you to read it, you know? And yeah, and the man who's trimming down books to just a few sentences, you know, books are so much more than just the few sentences that you get from like a synopsis, you know? There's so much more depth and levels to a book. And then, yeah, the publisher who is producing quantity over quality, you know, that's definitely a commentary, I think, on the state of publishing in our modern world. Because I definitely feel that there's quantity over quality when it comes to publishing, because there's a lot of pretty shitty books out there, you know. There's the books that are mediocre, and then you do have that small scattering of books that's like, wow, amazing, you know. And there's honestly not too many books being published nowadays that I would sit and think like 100 years from now, oh, that's going to be a modern classic, you know. So yeah, this book is definitely kind of condemning, it's condemning publishers definitely for how they produce quantity over quality, and it's even condemning readers who feel like they have to read as many books as possible to make it a contest, and like, oh, I'm winning something, you know. So like that too, you know, reading quantity over quality rather than quality books, you know. So I think this book is definitely very interesting in that regards, and once again, it's all allegory, you know. It's very, very much allegory. I think the modern state of how we read and consume books. And this book wants you to question, you know, what is it that you enjoy about reading exactly? You know, what is it that makes a character so special? What is it that makes the arc of a story so special? What makes a book special? And a lot of it does boil down to just an individual and one's life experiences and whatnot, and how you can connect personally to a book. And I think this book is also kind of condemning just humanity as a whole, that a lot of times we almost live vicariously through books. That books take us, yes, books take us to wonderful new places and cultures and peoples, you know, and we get to see the other side of somebody. But at the same time, we're kind of living vicariously through books rather than actually going out into the world and living our lives, you know, and making our own stories and our own journeys outside of books, you know, which ties in very wonderfully to Rentaro, because once again, Rentaro is living his life to the point that he's practically a hermit, and he's shut himself off away from actually living and going out there and making friends and whatnot, you know, opening himself up to new experiences. So once again, a lot of this book is all about an allegory and how it relates to Rentaro, and the fact that Rentaro, he really needs to grow and develop, and he can't remain stunted. So this book is kind of split in half in some ways, you know. There's the part of the narrative that wants you to love and appreciate and understand the purpose of books, but then also kind of contrasting against that, this book is also wanting you to stop living vicariously through books, you know. There's kind of this, I don't know, there's this kind of back and forth. It's like, what does this book exactly want from you? You know, because it kind of tells you one thing over here, but then it wants you to do something else over here. But I think it's still kind of done in such a way that, I don't know, it's not like talking down to you, I don't feel like. A healthy balance, I guess that's what it is. This book wants you to have a healthy balance of both worlds, you know, a healthy balance of enjoying books, but a healthy balance of also going out there and enjoying life. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on The Cat Who Saved Books. Once again, I definitely recommend this book if you are someone who loves all things books and literature, if you love cats. Once again, this adorable little cover here. And yeah, this book is, I think it's meant to be a little challenging, you know, despite its little small length here. The book is meant to be challenging, and it's meant to make you kind of think about your own life, you know, your life, and plus how you read, you know, what you should appreciate. So yeah, just let me know, you guys, have any of you guys read The Cat Who Saved Books? Do you plan on reading it? Just let me know your thoughts down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.